I'm Jay with Pulmuon Foods, and I'm so very excited to be here today. We are, just to give you a little bit of background, Pulmuon Foods, we're a Korean company. We primarily do tofu. We have humble origins, starting from an organic farm in Korea, and we came to the United States in 1991. So I'm excited because today we're going to have Chef Esther Choi here demonstrate a blend of the two things that our company does, which is Korean food and Asian food, as well as plant-based. And as I'm sure some of you got the chance to try earlier, we have our plant-based chicken. She'll be demoing our plant-based steak / bulgogi, as well as our tofu, and in 3 different Korean dishes. So, well, without further ado, I'll pass it on to Rupa and have her introduce Chef Esther Choi.
Thank you. I'm so excited for this session, not only for what's going to be an incredible food, but also because Esther is a former colleague of mine and one of the best chefs I've ever worked with, one of the most talented women I've ever worked with. So you guys are in for a real treat. In fact, like when I was pregnant with my son like 12 years ago, the only thing I ever wanted to eat was her kimchi fried rice. So she's amazing. You're very lucky. So in addition to haunting my dreams, she's the chef owner of m๊kbar Brooklyn and Midtown, as well as the chef partner of Ms. Yu. Her work is driven by her Korean roots and inspired by the age-old technique of her Korean grandmother's cooking. Please welcome Esther Choi.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rupa. Yeah, Rupa and I go way back, so it's like a full circle moment where we get to kind of be on stage together. So I was very excited. I also wanted to say thank you so much to the CIA for having me, and of course Pulmuon. I've been a big fan of Pulmuon for a very long time. I use a lot of the products at my restaurants, and of course grew up eating a lot of the Pulmuon products. So very, very excited to be here. We have a lot to go through. We're cooking 3 recipes today, so I think that we should get started pretty much right away. And feel free to, I think that at the end, we have 10 minutes of Q&A, so feel free to ask any questions after the demos. So the first recipe that I wanted to start with is Kampung tofu. So Kampung, it's a tofu that's been deep fried and then served with a sweet and sour sauce. And traditionally, you'll see this in like the form of like fried chicken or fried shrimp. And then it's with this beautiful sweet and sour sauce. So that's the first thing that we're gonna start with. And tofu, obviously, is made with soybeans, and it's something that I grew up with. I know that there's kind of a little bit of like a negative kind of feeling when it comes to tofu sometimes, especially for the Western palate, but tofu is one of my favorite things. And I'd say I eat tofu pretty much every day, and it's one of my favorite ingredients to work with, and I use it a ton at my restaurants. And if you just know how to use it and kind of cook with it, you can really learn to appreciate it. So, and it's also very healthy and really, really good for you. And so, the super firm tofu is very interesting because it draws out most of the moisture in tofu. So tofu can come in so many different forms. Like it comes soft, it comes firm, and then this particular product is super firm. So it has a very interesting texture to it, almost like meat. And when I first had it, I was like, oh, this is so great to fry, or you can even crumble it up, and it soaks up a lot of the seasoning that you're working with. So I feel like it's such an interesting new product that's like so firm. I've never actually worked with tofu like this. So it's delicious deep fried. So the first step is the batter. We have AP flour. So this batter is sort of a batter that I use for Korean fried chicken. Obviously, Korean fried chicken is very iconic, really, really, really crispy. So I used a similar batter for this. So it's AP flour, rice flour, and cornstarch. And the ratio is what really makes it really crispy. And to this batter, I also want to add some seasoning. And because the tofu is not seasoned, it soaks up a lot of seasoning. So I like adding seasoning to the batter as well as the sauce, obviously. So garlic powder, onion powder, white pepper. Sure. It's 2 parts AP, 1 part cornstarch, 1 part rice flour. And the cornstarch kind of makes it very light, and the rice flour is what helps it stay very, very crispy. So even if it's like sitting in sauce or even like sitting for a long period of time, it will still stay crispy, and it's because of that rice flour. So paprika, rice, white pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, little salt, and that's pretty much it. And right now, what I like to do is I like to double batter it. So we're gonna do a dry toss, and then we're gonna do a wet toss, and then fry it. So I'm gonna add some, so it's the same batter here, and you can just split the two, and then obviously have like a dry one and then the wet one. But this also will help it stay very, very, very crispy. So I like to always double batter it with a wet and a dry. Okay, so the wet batter, we want it to be relatively loose, like so. Okay. So basically what we're doing is we're gonna just kind of toss it in the dry, and I'm gonna just do a few so you can see it, and then, and I totally forgot to mention my assistant chef here, Chef LG, who is gonna be helping me. Can't live without her. And then we're gonna do a wet, and then basically just toss in the fryer. And we're frying at like 350. Like so. Right. And as we finish doing that, I will start on the sauce. Okay, the sauce is a sweet and sour sauce. This is very, it's kind of like a Korean Chinese sauce. Actually, this dish is like a Korean Chinese influenced dish. And the first step is we want to make a beautiful chili oil. And there's a quick way of making chili oil. We just add a little bit of oil to the pan. And then we're gonna add the scallion whites. I love separating the whites and the greens of the scallion and using it as two different ways. And it's a great way to kind of like get the most out of scallion. So we're using the scallion white bottoms to kind of make a scallion oil. And then the green parts we're gonna slice and use as garnish. So we have the scallion whites working in the oil, and then we want it to get really fragrant. And this is what kind of makes this sauce so delicious. It's that chili oil. I'm gonna add a little bit of ginger. And of course, the gochugaru, which is Korean chili flakes, one of my favorite ingredients to work with. And gochugaru is kind of that, the chili powder that makes kimchi. And it is used in so many different ways in Korean cuisine, but I also like to add it in a lot of my Western dishes as well. It is so beautifully fragrant and floral, and it's more of like a sweet spice, not like super, super spicy. So this seems like it will be a spicy sauce, but actually the gochugaru kind of mellows out, so it's not actually spicy at all, I guess depending on your tolerance. So you see how we're making this beautiful chili oil with the gochugaru and the scallion, and it smells so good, right? And the ginger, it's really, this is kind of like the technique that we're using to make the sauce, in which kind of like separates it from a traditional like sweet and sour sauce. It's this beautiful chili oil that we're making. And I love using this method for a lot of my cooking. It's very easy. You know, people are like, oh my God, chili oil, it's like so difficult to make. No, but you could just like make it in a pan like this. Super easy and delicious. Right. So while the tofu fries for about, really quick, 4 to 5 minutes, obviously it's not like you're cooking anything, you're just making like a super crispy batter. And that batter will like soak up all of this beautiful sauce. And then to that, we will add gochujang. Gochujang is Korean chili paste, which this is actually my favorite ingredient in the world. It is what makes Korean food so like iconic. It's one of the most iconic Korean ingredients. It's a fermented chili paste, and it has this like depth of flavor that you will not get with anything else. It's so special, and it just makes every dish that you cook it with like so delicious. And we'll use it for several of our recipes. So we added gochujang, a little ketchup, which is kind of like that sour element, and soy sauce, a little sugar, and honey to give it that nice like floral sweetness, and rice vinegar, and that's that sour element that we're using. Can I have a whisk, please? Whisk. Okay. So relatively simple, not difficult at all. Thank you. So we just want to incorporate it really well, like so. And then we're gonna add some red and green pepper, and it's just beautiful to look at, and you'll see how the sauce comes together so nicely. It's like so pretty, and it has a nice crunchy texture. I'm gonna add a little bit of onion as well. And then we're just gonna let this simmer and cook down. And the sauce is thickened by the gochujang and the ketchup, so you actually don't really need to add any like cornstarch element. A lot of the times these sweet and sour sauces have like a cornstarch slurry, but because of the thickness of the gochujang, you don't really need that at all. And as the vegetables kind of cook in the sauce, it'll kind of release some of the moisture and give it so much flavor. And we're checking back on the tofu. See how beautifully crispy it is. It has a nice batter, which will hold the sauce really well. And I love fried tofu. At one of my restaurants, m๊kbar, we do a vegan ramen dish, and we fry tofu and add it on top. And it's always, everyone's favorite part of that ramen because of kind of like the batter soaks up a little bit of the oil, and it kind of gives this like beautiful mouthfeel. And so the fried tofu is awesome. And I love fried tofu in like so many different ways. And this, what was that? Yeah, and what we're gonna do is let this sit for a minute, and then we're gonna double fry it. We're gonna actually get the heat up. So this is kind of a classic Korean technique. It's double fried anything. Like Korean fried chicken is special because it is double fried. And I kind of use that same technique for the tofu because we really want that extra crispy texture. And I feel like that's the beauty of this dish. It's that super crispy texture, sweet and sour, slightly spicy sauce. And it's just like the perfect dish to eat with rice or noodles, even by itself, or even maybe some lettuce wraps is great with it also. But really delicious. I love this dish so much. I actually prefer it with tofu over, the shrimp or classically the chicken or pork. I actually like the tofu much better. Also, it's better for you, so. There you go. And while that fries, we're maybe gonna move on to our next dish because we have a lot to work through. Thank you. Now the next dish that we're gonna make is called dakgalbi, and we're making it with plant-based chicken. And dakgalbi is traditionally a Korean spicy chicken dish, and it has cabbage, onions, carrot, lots of vegetables, sweet potato, and rice cakes. And it's like a spicy stir-fried chicken. And in Korea, you go to a dakgalbi restaurant, and a lot of restaurants in Korea are specialized in one dish. And this is really fun because, whenever I go to Korea, I'm like, I need to go eat dakgalbi because it's just like one of the restaurants that you don't really see here in America because it's like specialized in one thing, right? So as soon as you go to Korea, dakgalbi is one of the dishes that I always want to eat. You sit at a table, and they have this huge cast iron skillet in the middle of the table, and they stir fry the dakgalbi in front of you, and you kind of eat it as it cooks, and you eat it with like rice cake, or you eat it with some, which is like a lettuce wrap, and it's just like such a fun experience. And I kind of wanted to show you that you could do that at home. And we're doing it in a cast iron skillet, but if you have one of those like electrical skillets, you can cook this at the middle of the table and kind of eat it like a communal style, like family style. And it's just such a fun dish to eat. And I'm going to show you why. It starts with, actually I'm going to do a little bit of oil on the bottom here. And then we have cabbage. And this is like such a traditional Korean dish. And we're obviously making it with plant-based chicken. And it just is so much healthier, obviously. And I love this chicken because it absorbs a lot of flavor. So this dish is very saucy, lots of like spicy sauce. So even when you eat it with regular chicken, you don't really get that much chicken flavor because you're eating it because of the sauce, right? So this is actually a great option to make with the plant-based chicken. So cabbage, onion, it's so simple too. And that's the best part. It's like, you just pretty much prep all of the ingredients, and you can literally cook this in the middle of the table, or you could just do it on the stovetop and bring it to the table. And I like to serve directly in this cast iron skillet. And this is like a fun ingredient that we love to use in dakgalbi. It's Korean sweet potatoes. And Korean sweet potato is a little different than the regular sweet potato. It's obviously it's white, and it's sweet, but not like super sweet like yams. It kind of is more subtle in the sweetness, and it's so delicious. And here it actually works really well with the plant-based chicken. And then the plant-based chicken, of course. And this is great because it comes cubed, unseasoned, but if you like, you can get this chicken seasoned already, pre-seasoned, shredded, and it comes in so many different forms. So you can customize the plant-based chicken as you like. Okay, so plant-based chicken is going in. And plant-based chicken is a much more sustainable option. It uses, less water and land, and it just, obviously, if you're looking to go more plant-based, it's a great option. So we have the chicken in. Rice cakes we're gonna add a little later because it can get overcooked. And then the easy part, we're just gonna make the sauce, pour it on top, and let it simmer. And that's literally the dish. Very easy. Gochujang, again, like I said, gochujang is one of my favorite ingredients to work with, and it's kind of like the base of this dakgalbi sauce. So we have gochujang, some honey for that floral sweetness, and sugar. We have, I believe this is oil, mirin, which is like a rice cooking wine, and gochugaru, which is the Korean chili flake, and that will give a nice spice element, and then soy sauce. And then ginger. Can I get a microplane, please? And then I'm gonna actually add a little bit of sesame oil to this. These are the very classic Korean ingredients. I'm gonna grate a little bit of ginger in here, and I don't want big chunks of ginger, so we're just microplaning it so that we just get that flavor profile instead of like the big chunks. Garlic, of course. And that is pretty much it. And we're just gonna mix this like so. And then add it to our plant-based dakgalbi. So simple, easy. This is a great weeknight meal because it's simple and you can prep all the ingredients in advance, and literally all it is a stir fry. I mean, dakgalbi is literally that. It's a stir fry. And we're just gonna mix it in here. And some of the liquid and moisture from the vegetables is gonna draw out and kind of make this more into a sauce. And then, so we're basically just cooking this until the vegetables are cooked through. So what we're gonna do is cover it and lower the heat to a medium heat so that the vegetables can cook through without burning. So we're gonna let that go. And while that finishes, we'll finish the Kampung tofu. The tofu with sweet and spicy sauce. We have a little bit of rice. And you can do this two ways. You can either toss this in the sauce, in the pan, or you can just top it with the sauce. And I like topping it just because I like to have like the crispy elements with the saucy elements. So some of the parts of this tofu will be soft and some of the parts will be crispy. And that's how I like to serve it. And obviously this is, portion for two or for one, depending on how much you like. And then what happened to my sauce again? Oh, here it is. Okay. So after it cools, you can see it became a beautiful thick sauce. And we're just gonna use a spoon. This is a relatively simple dish as well. And cooking doesn't have to be so complicated, right? As long as you know some basic techniques, cooking can be very enjoyable and easy and very, very fun. Right? No need to make it all fussy. It's supposed to be easy, and we want to enjoy this kind of like on a weekly basis. And there we go. That's the dish, literally. And we're just going to top it with the scallion greens, like I mentioned. We use the whites for the sauce, and then the greens we're going to use as garnish. And it'll add a little bit of freshness to the dish, and then we'll finish with a little bit of toasted sesame seeds. And there we go. Very simple, beautiful dish. Using the tofu. I mean, you won't even know it's tofu, probably. Rupa, you want to come try it? You're not going to try it? No? Okay. So we're going to leave it here. And you can talk to me, too. Okay, so this was what, wait, I'm confused. I'm sorry, there's a lot of swap outs. We're going through, okay, so that's the one that's almost done. We're going to continue to cook this because why not? And then you'll see after it stir fries, it kind of becomes like this, right? Thick, delicious. And what you're going to do is like serve this kind of in the middle of the table. But I'm going to add the rice cakes here. And towards the middle of the cooking. Yes, towards the middle. I would say like it cooks for like 10, 12 minutes, very, very quick. So I think at the 5-minute mark, you can add the rice cakes and then let it finish stir frying. And I'm going to continue cooking this so you can see kind of the process of how it becomes thick and kind of like more like a stir fried like this, right? And like I said, if you have like one of those electrical skillets at home, that you can cook this at the table. And that's kind of the fun part of eating dakgalbi. It's like you're eating it while it's kind of like sizzling and stir frying. And one of the really fun things about dakgalbi is that you eat it with cheese. I know it's kind of a random thing, but Koreans love eating everything with mozzarella cheese for some reason. And of course, yeah, it's I don't know why, but mozzarella cheese appears on like a lot of menus, and it's a little random, but I love it. And it's become very, very trendy in Korea. So we're gonna do it because that's what they do. I'm sorry. in the dakgalbi restaurants in Korea. They add like a crazy amount of cheese to this and kind of eat each piece with like stringy mozzarella. And we're going to do that because I wanted to show you how fun it can be. And usually this is how it's served. They make like a little well in the middle of the pan and then add the mozzarella, and then it'll melt beautifully. And then you eat it with your chicken, and especially with the rice cake. It's like such great texture and really delicious. But obviously you can use plant-based cheese if you are vegan. But you know, I feel like plant-based and eating plant-based meats doesn't mean that you have to be like completely vegan, right? Like I eat it all the time, and I'm not obviously vegan, but I like mixing and matching with, you know, different things, and it's really just eating less. It's about eating less meat. So for me, you know, I like to eat this at times when I'm not really craving meat, but I still need protein, and that's when I choose to eat plant-based. And it's such a great option because texturally, it's very similar, and it just absorbs a lot of flavors that you're working with. So very, very easy option, and that's pretty much the dish. I mean, it's quite simple, right? Like literally, it's a stir fry. You eat it in the middle of the table. One really fun thing is after you eat most of it with like the leftover sauce, you can stir fry noodles with the leftover meat. And that's like pretty traditional in Korea. Like after you eat something like Korean barbecue or even like soups, after you eat most of it, they'll add like rice or noodles to it and saute it with the rest of the sauce. And you know, it obviously is like a more filling way to eat. So I'll show you that after this is melted, and we'll kind of, I'll kind of show you how you stir fry the noodles. But yeah, so you can see the dish is continuously cooking, right? So that's kind of what it looks like. And by the time all of the moisture has evaporated, your vegetables should be cooked. Obviously, the plant-based chicken, you do not have to cook through because it's cooked. And it's made with like wheat and soy, so it kind of absorbs a lot of that flavor. So there we go. Okay, one last dish. And this one's kind of a long one because it is a dish that seems quite simple, but there's a lot of steps. It's bibimbap. Bibimbap is one of the most beloved Korean dishes. I eat bibimbap probably every other day, and it's so simple, but kind of like a lot to do. I mean, there's a lot of steps, and I think that the reason why it seems simple is because it's like veggies, but there's every single vegetable has to be cooked separately, and that's what makes it kind of laborious. But it's a labor of love, and you make all the vegetables once, and throughout the entire week, you can eat bibimbap and like all throughout the week. So it's like one of those dishes that I really love, and obviously grew up eating, and it's one of the most traditional dishes of Korea. And it is on my menu at m๊okbar, and we sell a ton of it. It's literally the best-selling dish. And we love it because it's lots of vegetables, and you can add whatever protein you want. And in this case, we're going to be adding the plant-based bulgogi. And story, last year I tried this plant-based bulgogi at Pumon factory, and I was insanely shocked because of how delicious this is. Like it's just so delicious, and you wouldn't even believe that it's plant-based. It has so much flavor, and I think that it's because it's bulgogi, which is, you know, a very traditional Korean barbecue marinade. It's like soy, some fruit like apple or pear, and it has a sesame oil, soy sauce, and the marinade is what makes Korean barbecue so special. So because this is like the plant-based, the marinade still like kind of absorbs everything, and it still tastes like Korean barbecue. I mean, it is Korean barbecue. It's so delicious. And I was shocked when I had it last year, so I definitely want to add this to my menu at m๊okbar as an option. And I will be doing that in the next few months, hopefully this summer. So, all right. there's lots of vegetables, and the beauty of bibimbap is that you can kind of add whatever vegetables that you want and that you have. And I always say that if you have like a random carrot or a random like zucchini lying in your fridge, just like saute it and make namur out of it. Namur is kind of like this vegetable form, usually seasoned with like sesame oil or in a little salt, and it will last in your fridge a lot longer. And it's kind of like I love to say like everything but the kitchen sink bibimbap, because anything in your fridge that you're not really using vegetables, you can make bibimbap with. And bibimbap can be made with literally, like I said, any vegetable, any protein. It literally translates to mixed rice bowl. Like bibim means to mix, and pap means rice. So it's literally mixed rice. So the first thing we're going to start with is blanching the vegetables. And some vegetables we blanch, and some vegetables we saute. I know that sounds very confusing and a lot of work, but I like to simplify this, and what I do is have one pot of boiling water, and I'll blanch all the vegetables separately, but just do it in one step. And then the saute, we'll do all the saute in one pan as well. So really you're just using 2 pots. I'm gonna turn this off because that cheese looks like it's melted. So I know I'm a little bit going back and forth, but here is kind of the final dish of the dakgalbi. And this one as well, we're gonna just, use some scallion greens to garnish, and toasted sesame seeds. And a lot of Korean dishes have pretty much the same garnish, so how great is that? You can make multiple Korean dishes with the same ingredients, right? Okay, so that's pretty much how you serve it. You serve this at the table, and then you eat your tteok or your plant-based chicken with the cheese, and then, of course, we have perilla leaves, which is kind of traditional in dakgalbi as well. And you can kind of serve it on the side and make little wraps, or you can like tear it, like roughly just tear it and kind of add it on top. And it's like very herbaceous. Perilla, if you never had it, is like a Korean vegetable that's more like an herb. It's in the mint family, and it has this like really beautiful, like floral, minty flavor to it, and it's my favorite thing ever. It's so good and so fragrant. Like as soon as it touches the heat, I can like smell it right away. Anyway, so that's the dish, and you serve that in the cast iron directly at the table. How easy. You cook it in the pot, you serve it in the pot, and you call it a day. And after you eat all this, bring it back to the stove, add the noodles, stir fry it, and then you have noodles with your dakgalbi. So great. If you have a chance to visit Korea, you must go eat at a dakgalbi restaurant. It's an experience. Okay, so we're doing 2 things at the same time. We're gonna blanch bean sprouts. Bean sprouts is probably kind of one of the most traditional ingredients in bibimbap. Bean sprouts, also spinach. My spinach is already blanched, and when you're blanching, literally salted boiling water, and you let it kind of cook until it's wilted, and then you'll just ice bath it. And one of the most kind of important things about making namur, which is the Korean greens or the vegetables, is that you need to wring out all of the moisture. So after you cook it, even after it sits and you drain it, still there's more moisture that comes out of it, but we don't want any of that moisture because that's what kind of makes the vegetable go bad quicker. So we want to have it as dry as possible. Also, it's same with salads. You don't want a wet salad. You want it to be dry as possible. That's why you have a salad spinner, right? Same idea with the namur. Can I get some? So we're blanching spinach and bean sprouts, and the rest, I mean, to be honest, you can probably kind of do either, but some vegetables are better sauteed and some better blanched. Like spinach, you don't really want to saute in a pan. It's better texture when you blanch it. So it depends on the vegetable. And I know that's kind of confusing, but it is what it is, right? It's cooking, and every vegetable acts a little differently. So we're gonna saute the zucchini and also daikon radish. And these we're sauteing because it's a much better texture when you saute this other than blanching it. You don't really blanch zucchini, right? So it's kind of that idea. So when you're sauteing, it's just literally very, very simple. The zucchini. And one of the things about bibimbap is you want the vegetables to be kind of in the similar shape. Because you're mixing it and eating it with the spoon, it's always nice for it to be a little bit uniform. And that's with cooking in general. Like when you're cooking a dish, you want kind of everything to be the same size. And it really makes a difference when you eat the vegetables. Okay, so salt and a little pepper. And obviously I added a little oil. And then you can add a tiny bit of garlic. And the great thing about bibimbap is most of the vegetables have the same seasoning. It's literally like sesame oil, a little garlic, salt, pepper. Like keep it simple. It's not supposed to be complicated. And sometimes you can make bibimbap complicated and make it like super elegant and do all these things. But like I said, the idea of cooking is you don't want it to be complicated because you want to be able to do it often, right? I always say don't overcomplicate it. It's food. You know, as long as you learn simple techniques, thank you, it really shouldn't be hard and it can be very, very delicious. One of the greatest things about this bibimbap is that it's so many vegetables, like I said, and that's what makes this dish so good. And I'm such a big veggie lover. I actually eat a lot more vegetables than I do like any proteins, but that's just like what I love. I love vegetables so much. And literally that's it. It's very, very quick. It's not supposed to be hard. And I love appreciating vegetables in its kind of pure form, which is why I like to keep my namu very, very simple. And then with the daikon radish, we're just going to add it to the pan as well. And with daikon, it just needs to wilt and cook a little. So I do like adding a little bit of water to this, which we will do. Salt, little pepper, and the sesame oil, and then we're going to add a little bit of water just so because we want it to like wilt nicely and be cooked. And sometimes when you saute, it gets too dry. So we do add a little bit of water to the daikon. And then these are dehydrated shiitake mushrooms. You can use fresh mushrooms. They're dehydrated, and then we hydrated them in water. And I love dehydrated shiitake mushrooms because it has like a really great texture. It's super like chewy, it has so much flavor. But you can use fresh mushrooms, and same thing, you can saute it in the pan. So after daikon, these are blanched vegetables. Do we have anything else to blanch? No, right? So blanched vegetables, like I said, same seasoning. It's sesame oil. And then a little bit of garlic. And salt, pepper. Right? And then you just kind of mix it. Like I said, we want to keep this super simple. Right? So everything's seasoned. Right? And then we're going to saute this one as well. I'm going to let Chef Ilji do that. And then, of course, protein, right? Our plant-based bulgogi, and this will give the dish so much flavor because of that delicious marinated plant-based meat. It's the marinade that makes it so special. It is so, so good. And I do want to quickly saute this because I like to caramelize the marinade. And that's kind of what gives it that kind of like smoky, delicious flavor to it. So, and of course I like doing this last because we want it to kind of stay hot in the dish. But basically, I'm going to add a tiny bit of sesame oil just so it doesn't stick. And sesame oil is already in this marinade, so of course we're just mimicking that. And Just gonna add, as soon as I open it, I can smell that smoky, delicious flavor. And it's that kind of smoky flavor that was added to this plant-based bulgogi that makes it so similar to Korean barbecue experience. So when you're eating Korean barbecue, obviously you go to a Korean restaurant, there's a grill in front of you and you're grilling the meat in front of you, and that's like charred, smoky flavor is like what we want. And so I am gonna kind of mimic that because I want one side to be charred. It is already smoky because the seasoning has a little bit of that smoky flavor to it. But we want to heat it up. We want everything to be kind of like warm. So we are going to do that. And I believe that there will be a plant-based steak that's not marinated coming out as well. So if you don't want the Korean barbecue flavor, you can get the regular plain flavor and then season it how you like. I'm sorry. I love sesame oil so much, and I do cook with sesame oil a lot, and people like to say like, oh, you know, a little goes a long way, and people add like a tiny bit to it, but not me. I'm like, more sesame oil. And I love it because it's like, it's so Korean, it's so Asian, and it's so fragrant and nutty and toasty. But you see how it's already caramelizing like that? Like it really does look like steak, doesn't it? Right, and that's pretty much it. We don't want to go too heavy on the char, but you can see how it really, really does mimic steak so much. And I'm actually gonna have a little taste. It's amazing, seriously. So sweet, and it's really smoky. It has that real barbecue flavor. That's what I really love about this, and I'm very impressed by how that barbecue flavor really comes through. So going back to the bibimbap, I know there's a million elements to it, but trust me, as long as you like saute everything separately and you can use any vegetable you want, the building of it is super easy and it comes pretty fast. And like I said, all these vegetables you can leave in a container in your fridge, and anytime you want to eat bibimbap, you just cook some rice, build your bowl, and that's pretty much it. You have like dinner in like less than 10 minutes. So great thing is, yes, it is prep heavy, but coming together to build it is really easy. And that's kind of like what Korean food is a lot of. It's very like prep heavy. A lot of it's like pre-made, a lot of pickles, lots of fermented things, and then lots of flavor from things like gochujang and soy sauce. And the building of it is quite simple. We have carrots here as well, some kimchi. I like to serve the kimchi on the side and not in the bibimbap, so we'll probably do that for this one. But basically, you fry an egg, and then we're gonna build the bibimbap. So cooked rice, straight in the middle. Right, very simple. And it's also really beautiful to look at, and you'll see. Super, super pretty. You don't have chopsticks, do you? Okay. So we have the daikon. We have carrots. Carrots that have, you can saute or blanch the carrots. This one doesn't really matter. Carrots. We got the beautiful zucchini. And when we're plating this, I always try to think about the colors and not putting white next to white. So, you kind of want to visually organize yourself when you are plating this. So here's the bean sprouts. And then the spinach, blanched spinach. Like so. And you know what? The crispy tofu will actually be really delicious in this as well. And this is just cucumber that's been salted and slightly salted so it's wilted, and then we just kind of like squeeze out a little bit of that moisture to give it nice texture. And then, so cucumber gives a nice crunch. So a lot of this is like texture when it comes to making bibimbap. But I've also done this where you put all the vegetables on a roasting tray and you just roast it, and then you just add it on top of rice. That's like a cheat method. Obviously, when you're doing it like this, it tastes much better because you put in the work. You know, you really, cooking is really about effort, right? It's about putting your love into every dish. And that is something that my grandmother taught me. She taught me that everything that you do make, you have to put in the effort. If you take shortcuts, you're gonna be able to taste it. And we don't, you know, to be a great chef, I think that really the love and care that you put into all of your dishes is what makes a great chef. And of course, our beautiful plant-based bulgogi, which you can choose to cut it smaller, but I kind of like leaving it whole like that because it just makes it more luxurious dish. And we put the steak right in the middle. This looks so good, oh my gosh. So how beautiful is it? It's like a rainbow, it's so pretty, right? And then, last but not least, fried egg. And that's pretty traditional in bibimbap. Fried egg, and I like to season, yet again, with a little sesame oil. I know it seems like overkill, but this is what makes it like so delicious and nutty. So tiny bit of sesame oil. It's kind of like when you finish a dish with olive oil, like really nice olive oil. It's that same idea. We want to finish with like nice sesame oil, and then a little bit of that scallion, toasted sesame seeds. And then this is optional, but I like adding a little bit of kim, which is seaweed or nori, right on top because it just like looks so pretty. And the seaweed actually gives a lot of umami to the dish. And I know it seems very kind of like, why do you add that small amount of, but it gets a lot of flavor actually. And it's nice to look at. So pretty much there we have it. That's the bibimbap. And you serve it traditionally with gochujang. And gochujang is a spicy chili paste. And you serve it on the side, and you kind of mix as much as you want in the bibimbap. But that's what makes bibimbap bibimbap. It is the flavor of that gochujang. And you always serve this on the side. And of course, you can't not serve bibimbap without kimchi, to me. Well, kimchi with everything, in my opinion. And Prunmuon makes a beautiful, lovely vegan kimchi. And kimchi, a lot of the times, has lots of fish sauce in it, but this one is vegan, and it's very impressive because it tastes just like any other kimchi that has fish sauce in it. But it's delicious, and I love it. So that's the dish. It's bibimbap.
Audience, does anybody have questions? Otherwise, I have plenty. No? All right, we'll start with me then. I would love to hear you talk a little bit more about sort of how your cuisine evolved. I know your Korean cuisine and your food specifically have always been really plant forward, but so long Korean food in America has been like very meat heavy and very barbecue centric. And I'm curious about how, as a restaurateur, you sort of navigated that.
It is interesting, right? Because when you think about Korean food and Korean restaurants, a lot of the times people think about Korean barbecue, right? Very meat heavy, but actually in Korea, it's not like that. And traditionally, Korean food hasn't been super meat heavy. It's very vegetable driven. It's very mountainous, and there's lots of fish as well. So actually, Korean food is very heavily vegetarian, and I grew up eating lots of like vegetable-driven Korean dishes. And so at my restaurants, I like to always have lots of those options because, and you know, a lot of the thing that I do is talk about Korean food in a way where it's like, oh, it's not just Korean barbecue. There's so many different layers to Korean food, and especially with like kimchi, which is my favorite thing in the universe. I even have it tattooed on my wrists. And kimchi is like one of the healthiest foods out there, right? So Korean food is really health focused, I think. And that's how my parents were growing up. My grandmother, always about healthy Korean food. And so that's one of the most important things to me when I kind of talk about Korean food, is that it's not so meat driven and doesn't have to be. And there's lots of different layers to Korean cuisine.
Very cool. And I was curious also if you wanted to talk a little bit more about the various types of kimchi you make. So you make not just napa cabbage, I know you make a ton of different ones.
Yes.
Sort of what your favorites are and how you like to use them.
So kimchi, like I said, I feel like my soul is made with kimchi. It runs through my my heart, my veins, my blood. It's so special to me because I think one of the first dishes I learned to make with my grandmother was kimchi, and I have very fond memories of doing kimjang, which is like kimchi day in Korea, and it's in the fall, and you make like crazy amount of kimchi. Like you just make like cases of kimchi and then you eat it throughout the year. And it's a way to preserve, right? Preservation is one of the most important techniques in Korean cuisine. And so, you know, kimchi can come in so many different forms, not just napa cabbage, spicy napa cabbage. You can kimchify pretty much any vegetable, whether it be cucumber or ramps, which I'm going to do a large ramp kimchi load next week because it's in season in New York. And I love making kimchi with anything that's seasonal and local. So I try to take ingredients that are in season and then make kimchi with it. And it's about knowing your vegetable and, you know, trial and error. It's you salt it, draw out the moisture, you mix it with, you know, kimchi paste, and you let it ferment. And it's like making a vinegar, or it's like making any type of preserved vegetable or a pickle, but you're not using vinegar, right? You're fermenting it and essentially making a vinegar. So I love we make 9 different types of kimchi at my restaurants, and it's very special to me because that's what I love so much, and I feel like it speaks to what Korean food is, and it's really healthy. It's about it's good for you. It's a probiotic, natural probiotic, and we have some here. This is the Prumon kimchi, which is vegan, which I really, really love because you can't find a lot of vegan kimchis on the market. So it is special. I make like a white kimchi, which is not spicy, and for, you know, the kids or lots of adults actually really love the white kimchi. And then this is kind of your traditional napa cabbage kimchi, which a lot of people know. And we kind of cook a lot with the napa cabbage kimchi, which I love. When you cook kimchi, it's actually really delicious and it gives different flavor notes and texture. So I love that, like kimchi fried rice, which I made for your baby shower. I gotta make it for you again. And then cucumber kimchi, which is made obviously with cucumbers. So kimchi can come in so many different forms. And once you kind of learn the technique of making kimchi, you'll never go back. You'll make kimchi forever.
So I actually started making kimchi from your recipe also by doing a kimchi day. And like one of the things that I noticed, and like this is probably pretty obvious, but like is the way that time affects it, right? And over time it gets softer. And I was curious about like if there are certain vegetables that you find like your daikon kimchi is one of my favorites too. And like that also, if you make that one, like that also gets softer. And are there better applications, better things that they're used for, like stewing maybe for longer, you know, older ones, or how does the flavor change over time?
So it gets funkier over time, right? Because as it ferments, it gets stronger and much more sour in flavor. So texturally, it shouldn't really get softer. So I feel like the technique has the salt to vegetable ratio is maybe a little off if it does get soft, because it's supposed to stay crunchy for a long period of time. And that's the whole point of preserving kimchi or preserving a vegetable, because we want to preserve the texture as well. So daikon is one of the favorites, obviously, but it's very funky, right? Like daikon in general has a lot of funk, but texturally it's delicious, and it can hold for a longer period of time because it's much more dense. And so I love cooking with daikon kimchi as well, because it gives like a beautiful, like funky flavor profile to any dish, especially like meat dishes or even just sauteing it or making soups and stews with it. It's lovely.
Very cool. Do folks have questions? I'm happy to not hog the mic. No? Oh yes, please, by all means.
So that's the very old school way of doing it. Of course, like there was no refrigeration back in the day, so they to keep the temperature, because that's one of the most important things of kimchi is keeping it at the same temperature for a long period of time. We had to make a hole in the ground and put the earthenware jar in there. And that method was because it's cold underground, right? It's cool. It has a perfect temperature of preserving. So that is why it was done. I mean, maybe in the kind of the most southern parts or like the very rural areas of Korea, you'll still see some of that. But now with technology, there's like a kimchi fridge and things like that. So we don't have to dig the ground anymore for that. But I want to do that one day.
Do you have a dedicated kimchi walk-in at the restaurant?
Kimchi, oh my gosh, that's like my dream.
Yeah, that's amazing. You need a kimchi walk-in.
Yeah, I need a kimchi
Get
walk-in.
HGTV on the case,
That I will build that one day, Rupa.
I want that for you. Anything else from the audience? Does anyone else have anything? I would love to ask you some more about tofu and what your favorite kinds are to work with. Because the extra firm is really interesting because it was so dense.
So dense. Yeah. And that was the most interesting part about this extra firm tofu is that it's so dense. It has that similar texture as meat. So I think that's very interesting to me. And I kind of want to explore cooking with it a bit more because I haven't really used that type of dense tofu as much. I was developing some recipes for this demo, and one of the ways I really loved it was fried, but I think that there's definitely ways to explore it. I think that like crumbling it and maybe baking it and giving it like more flavor. And I think that one of the great things about that extra dense tofu is it could absorb a lot of flavor. So you can kind of add a lot of seasoning to it and it'll soak it up.
When I had it last time, it had a lot of like halloumi cheese texture, like it was grilled and it had like a halloumi cheese, or like hard paneer, like a kebab type vibe would also be really good.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of silken tofu frequently used in Korean cooking. Or,
silken tofu.
Or
so basically tofu is basically silken because it's not pressed. And the moisture, when it draws out, that's when it becomes firmer and more firm and more firm. So silken tofu is like the softest form of tofu, and it like literally like melts in your mouth. Lots of soups are made with silken tofu, and you could just eat it plain. I actually like eating silken tofu just as is with a little soy sauce and sesame oil. So delicious. It's and when you make tofu fresh, which is a technique and not hard to do actually, I love making tofu fresh, and when you do, that soy delicious nutty flavor is something that you probably won't ever taste, and it's just so good. And I think it's really underappreciated in the Western cultures. Tofu is so awesome.
It's such a versatile ingredient. I think we're basically at time, unless anybody else has a last-minute question. I think we're good. Esther, thank you so much. This is such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I hope. Oh.
Okay, so you all know what time it is. It is time for some more wine, reception, tasting. This reception is going to be up on the second floor. You're going to have an opportunity to taste some of what your other colleagues have been making in the hands-on kitchen innovation workshops. We'll also have book signings with guest chefs Hannah Che and Daniel Olivella. So I'd like to just thank Chef Esther one more time and Pulmawan for hosting this session. Thank you very much. So enjoy the reception, enjoy your evening tonight in Napa. We'll see everyone back, breakfast, 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.
모든 일체 식물과 그 식절에는 생명체가 있습니다. 자기가 땅에다가 뿌리를 박고 태양열과 이슬과 별빛과 달빛에 의해서 성장 과정을 하고 있습니다. 그럴 때에 하나하나 모든 게 소중하지 않는 것이 없습니다. 뿌리라서 못 먹는 거에서 잘라서 버리거나 또 줄기가 안 먹는다 해서 그대로 통째로 이렇게 쓰레기통으로 나가는 것은 원치 않습니다. 그래서 우리 사찰 음식과 이 불교 음식에는 모든 것을 생명체를 존중하고 유지하기 위해서 통째로 음식을 합니다. 뿌리는 뿌리대로, 줄기는 줄기대로, 잎은 잎대로, 꽃은 꽃대로, 열매는 열매대로 모든 것을 통째로 하는 음식을 우리는 전체 음식이라고 합니다. 그래서 각자가 갖고 있는 맛과 향과 이런 것이 틀리기 때문에 뿌리를 해서 그냥 전혀 버리면 안 되는 거죠. 만약에 식재료를 하면서 이런 찌꺼기가 이런 부분이 나왔을 때는 이런 거를 전부 다 함께 모아서 끓입니다. 끓이면 그거를 내가 물 대신 먹을 수 있고 또 채수를 내서 음식할 때 국물로도 사용을 합니다. 그래서 온전한 그 식재료가 갖고 있는 모든 생명체를 온전히 지켜주는 겁니다. 그랬을 때 우리는 그 음식이 지속 가능한 그런 거를 함께 해주는 겁니다. 이 올바른 두부, 응? 먹으면은 부드럽고 식감이 있고 영양이 충분한 단백질을 섭취해주고 하는 이 두부를 우리는 계속 먹을 수 있는 거예요. 언제 어느 때 인간의 욕망으로서 응? 이 종자 씨앗을 멸망을 시키기가 했다면은 이거 못 먹어요. 그러한 지속 가능한 음식을 합니다. 그래서 두부는 역사적인 겁니다. 고추, 깨소금, 오미자청, 만드는 방법은 간단합니다. 양념도 모든 음식은 자꾸 양념을 보태갖고 뭐 자꾸 놀라 해서 힘들어요. 음식 식재료가 갖고 있는 마카롱 전체를 끄집어내고 할 적에는 그 자꾸 양념을 빼야 돼. 자꾸 덜어내야 본연의 맛이 나오는 거예요. 이거 진리입니다. 진리. 음식을 만들고 요리하는 진리예요. 자꾸 양념 뭐 넣으려 하니까 힘들다는 거지. 그래서 기본적인 거 처음에 할 때에 있던 그거 해서 마지막에는 깨소금만 넣었어요. 지금. 자, 이렇게 해서 오이하고 두부면이랑 같이 해서 만들어 봤습니다. 두부, 면, 오이, 두수 무침을 해봤습니다. 저런 식재료를 가지고 우리의 전통 식재료인 두부에다가 같이 함께 하면 이 음식이 하나로서 온 세계가 하나가 되지 않나. 이런 뜻에서 오늘 아스파라거스하고 두부하고 같이 함께 음식을 해봤습니다. 이 아스파라거스는 그냥 물에 데쳐서 소금 간과 생강 그리고 고추 말린 거 넣고 그대로입니다. 여기에 들어간 두부는 또 식감을 속은 부드럽고 겉은 바삭하게 빠른 불로 얼른 구워내야 그 식감을 살릴 수가 있어요. 겉은 바삭바삭하고 속은 부들부들한 게 두부의 참맛이거든요. 이제 그거를 이제 살려서 이제 음식을 하는 겁니다. 제가 항시 교육적으로 음식을 통해서 교육을 하고자 하는 게 지금 기후 위기를 살려야 돼요. 두 번째는 자연 환경 보호를 해야 돼요. 자연 환경. 내가 자연과 함께 있고 인간과 자연은 하나이기 때문에 내가 함께 해야 된다는 거예요. 그러면은 함부로 할 수가 없는 거죠. 자연을 내 몸같이 생각한다. 자연을 환경 보호를 해서 있는 그대로 흘러가도록 해야 나도 그대로 가거든요.
지금부터는 서울 경기식 배추 포기김치를 담가보겠습니다. 한국인들이 가장 많이 먹는 김치가 역시 배추 포기김치인데요. 이 김치는 조선시대부터 먹기 시작했지만 지금처럼 이제 이렇게 빨갛게 고춧가루가 들어가서 김치를 담그기 시작한 지는 1890년대니까 100년 남짓 됐어요. 이제 배추가 보통 한 3, 4kg 정도 되거든요. 가운데를 딱 나눠서 이렇게 되면 이거를 반쯤 이렇게 여기가 심이라고 해요. 배추 심. 여기를 나눠줘야 가운데 소금물이 들어가서 절임이 잘 돼요. 소금물을 만들어주는 거예요. 그리고 충분히 이렇게 적셔주세요. 이 절임이 잘 돼야 김치가 맛있거든요. 이렇게 좀 떨어뜨려 놔줘야 소금이 들어가겠죠. 소금을 한 주먹을 딱 쥐고 사이사이에 줄기 부분에 넣어주세요. 이렇게. 이게 절임이 잘 된 거예요. 특히 김치는 소금의 역할이 굉장히 중요하거든요. 그래서 저는 소금을 꼼꼼하게 따져서 반드시 국산 천일염을 씁니다. 예. 김치할 때 5대 양념이 있어요. 그게 파, 마늘, 생강, 그 다음에 고추, 젓갈이래요. 무채를 썰어요. 제가 김치에 제일 많이 쓰는 과일이 배예요, 배. 지금부터 김치가 어떻게 버무리는지 설명을 드릴게요. 맨 먼저 고춧가루로 고추물을 이렇게 들여놔줘요. 액체로. 이때 여기 다시마물이 하는 역할이 이거를 이렇게 농도를 맞춰주는 역할을 하는 거예요. 그 다음에 마늘, 생강 넣고요. 그리고 액젓으로 한 번 더. 그리고 새우젓, 생새우 들어가요. 채소를 같이 버무려 주고요. 자, 이때쯤에서 이제 곡물죽을 넣는 거예요. 김치는 정답이 없어요. 가족들이 지역에 따라서 그 가문에 따라서 김치 담그는 방식은 다 다르다는 거. 자, 이렇게 싸주는 이유는 그냥 괜히 심심해서 싸는 게 아니고요. 안에 있는 양념이 밖으로 빠져나오지 못하고 다 익을 때까지 맛있게 양념이 이 줄기 속으로 뵐 수 있는 시간을 주는 거예요. 꼭꼭 눌러서 공기를 완전히 빼주고요. 그리고 공기하고 접촉되는 부분이 없이 이렇게 다 덮어줘요. 이거 굉장히 중요한 거라고 그랬어요. 김치는 이제 외국인들이 볼 때 배추에 고춧가루 묻혀져 있는 것만 김치로 생각하지만 꼭 그렇지 않아요. 파프리카를 이용해서 백김치를 담글 거예요. 파프리카가 이제 푸른색은 피망을 썼고요. 노란색 파프리카고 이건 무채예요. 무채하고 배를 채를 썰었어요. 원래 전통적인 백김치에는 이제 그 대추채, 마늘채, 생강채, 밤채, 서기채가 들어가요. 이게 국물에다 새우젓 국물에다가 마늘, 생강 조금 넣어서 소금 간 해가지고 이렇게 부어요. 그래서 공기하고 접촉을 차단시켜줘야 되는 거. 이제 지금부터는 콜라비로 김치를 담가 볼 텐데요. 이게 콜라비예요. 이게 네덜란드에서 씨앗이 왔다고 하거든요. 그런데 이 콜라비를 이제 반으로 나눠서 이렇게 껍질을 까면 이렇게 됐거든요. 이렇게 썰었으면 소금에 절여야 돼요. 이거는 보통 김치에 담그는 그런 고추 분말이고요. 이건 고운 고춧가루인데 이걸 쓰는 이유가 이게 여기에서 수분이 나와서 색깔이 하얗게 돼버릴까 봐. 그래서 이걸 미리 이렇게 이렇게 주물주물 해주면 고추물이 곱게 들어요. 그래서 가루를 다양하게 쓰는 거예요. 역시 김치는 이제 금방 담가서 바로 먹으면 그 채소와 양념에 들어있는 영양 성분을 먹겠지만 김치의 핵심은 발효예요, 발효. 시간이 만들어주는 맛과 영양이 있거든요. 김치의 유산균이 하는 역할은 우리는 여러 가지 음식을 먹었을 때 장 속에 유해균과 유익균이 있어요. 유해균이 비중이 높으면 장이 건강하지 않은 거고 유익균이 비율이 높으면 장이 건강한 거예요. 그걸 김치의 유산균이 유해균이 유익균으로 변하는 그런 역할을 해요. 그래서 김치가 건강한 식품이고 김치의 유산균은 장까지 살아서 들어간다고 그래요. 그래서 건강한 음식인 것 같아요.
한식만을 요리해왔던 한식 요리사 셰프 조희숙입니다. 장아찌 저장 방법이 이제 저장을 시킬 수 있는, 그러니까 미생물이 활동하기 어렵게 만드는 조건 중에 하나, 그 염도가 고추장으로 또는 된장으로, 간장으로. 이 고추장, 간장, 된장은 한식의 대표적인 양념이고 아주 고유한 맛이기 때문에 채소에도 단지 이렇게 저장하는 음식이 세계 여러 나라에 있을지라도 한국 장아찌가 특별한 것은 이렇게 고추장, 된장, 간장으로 할 수 있다는 것이, 그러니까 염도로 미생물의 활동을 억제하는 것뿐만 아니라 이 고추장이, 된장이, 간장이 가진 그 맛을 특별히 또 여기다 넣는 그런 음식이 되는, 저장 음식이 되는 거죠. 그래서 이 세 가지가 다 활용이 되는 채소 저장 방법으로. 그래서 이제 요거는 보여드렸고, 이제 된장과 고추장 다 이렇게 채소를 해서 저장을 할 수가 있는데, 대량으로 이제 그 할 경우에 그 계절에 많이 나오는 게 맛도 가장 좋고 가격도 좋고 상태가 가장 좋은 상태라서 그때 저장을 해 놓는 거거든요. 그래서 그것을 1년, 2년 저장을 잘하면 그 이상으로도 먹을 수 있는 그런 것이 채소 저장 음식이에요. 이제 이렇게 아까 그 간장도 떠오르지 않게 눌렀잖아요. 지금 된장이나 고추장도 이렇게 재료가 겉에 보이지 않게 다 덮어주는 게 중요하거든요. 일단 공기 밖에 나왔다 하면 상하는 거예요. 이렇게. 요걸 꺼내서 이렇게 먹는 거죠. 단지 그 짜게 절여진 것 말고 그 된장의 여러 가지 감칠맛과 그 숙성된 맛을 채소에서 같이 느낄 수 있는 그런 약간 일종의 슬로우 푸드이면서 건강 음식이죠. 1년 이상 보관이 되고 냉장시키면은 그 이상도 가요. 요즘 그 짜게 안 드시니까 이거 염도를 낮추는 경향이 있거든요, 장아찌를. 그럼 염도를 낮추면은 이제 원래는 이게 밖에서 다 있었던, 옛날 오래전부터 있었던 건데 이제 짜게 해놨기 때문에 상하지 않는데, 이걸 염도를 낮추겠다 하면은 냉장 보관하면은 1년, 2년도 가능한 저장 음식이죠. 이제 이런 음식이 그 한국 음식의 그 근간이 될 수 있었던 이유는 밥이 있기 때문에요. 얘하고 이제 밥하고 먹으면 그냥 딱 답이죠, 그게. 그러니까 한식은 밥 문화다. 밥이 주인 문화이고, 그래서 이 간장, 된장, 고추장으로 만든 이 반찬들이 밥과 함께 어우러진 것이 한국 음식의 아주 그 가장 주된 흐름이죠. 지금은 이제 이것만 일품으로 뭐라고 못 먹잖아요. 반드시 밥이 있어야지. 그러니까 밥을 빼놓고는 이제 한국 음식을 설명할 수가 없는데, 그렇기 때문에 간장, 된장, 고추장이 결국은 우리 한식 문화의 바탕이 기본이 될 수가 있는 거죠.
I love the passion Japanese chefs have about vegetables, about fish, whatever it is, but they're really passionate about quality. So to me, when we open our restaurant in Japan, to go to the fish market, go to the vegetable market, see how precious some of their vegetables and fruits are, was really a revelation. And to me, it was always special to have great vegetables. So now we are making sushi, nigiri, and stuff like that here with roasted vegetable, boiled vegetable, grilled vegetables, you name it. All right, Ted, so what are you going to make for us?
Okay, so can we just do omakase style?
Omakase style, my favorite.
Okay. Okay, so let's start.
I have the sake here,
Perfect.
so I was thinking about tasting the yuzu sake with your omakase vegan sushi here.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with red pepper. So I roast red pepper very slowly for a long time, so it's melting soft.
Yeah.
And this is gonna resemble tuna.
Yeah.
It's almost like a vegetarian tuna.
Okay, you don't get nice tuna like that everywhere, huh? With that good color.
Yeah, so maybe a little extra wasabi is nice.
Yeah.
Very quick nigiri.
Okay.
So that's our first course.
Yeah, little pepper.
Little pepper. Okay, so
Okay, next one.
then let's move on to avocado because we're in California.
Okay,
right?
good. Yep. Yeah. You have a lot of avocado in Japan too, or what?
Not a lot. We import them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go and show them how to grow it. Don't worry.
So avocado's been scooped up, almost
Yeah.
like a shape of fish eggs,
Uh-huh.
and it's soaked in basil oil. So you have nice basil oil. We're gonna turn this into like a gunkan style. So we'll do avocado and the gunkan.
How about a little chili?
I think that's a good idea.
I
Let's
like
put a
when
little
it's spicy.
bit. Perfect.
All
that's
right,
our
look at
second
that.
course. So we did salmon pearls.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do uni.
Uni, okay.
Vegetarian style.
My favorite, you know.
So we made really small, beautiful farmers market
Butternut squash.
butternut squash, baby one. We
Yeah.
roast it really slow, so it's nice and sweet. And we're caramelizing the miso on top, as you
Oh,
can see.
okay.
That's
Yeah,
miso. And we cooked it really hard at the end, so that it gets
That it
nice.
browns and
yeah,
everything.
it gets nice
Yeah.
torch.
Get the flavor.
Right. So we'll do this one with cucumber.
You know, I'm gonna send a picture to Byron in south of France. You know,
Yeah?
at Beaumanière. Yeah.
Uh-huh. He's working there.
He's working there, yeah. You know, he was always like into his vegetarian sushi too.
So
He always said we have to make different ones all the time. Oh, it looks like uni, the color.
It does. So scoop up a little bit of this. So miso is very strong in flavors. I don't think I need any
Anything?
soy sauce on top, or maybe we can garnish it with a flour.
Okay.
So that's our uni course.
Okay.
Sorry, I need to tuck the wire. How about we do cucumber next?
Okay.
It's very simple. So a lot of work has been done already. So this is
You roasted them?
we
or-
pickled it.
We pickled them.
So
okay.
pickle them in sugar, salt, and
Yeah.
mustard. You want to taste a little bit?
Uh-huh.
So it's
Good.
still crunchy, but
It's nice and crunchy, yeah.
So we'll cut it. And then I make a lot of incisions, so it's
Yeah.
easier to eat. How about we do this with the red.
Yeah.
So this one has shiso. You know,
Yeah.
cucumber and shiso is a very good friend. you
Yeah.
know?
They're good friends in Japan and here too.
Yeah. So we go like that, and then we have a little band of nori, so it doesn't fall off. Okay.
Okay.
And then we're going to garnish this with this cucumber flour.
Wow,
Yeah,
beautiful.
just on top like that. So people go, wow. Sorry, cucumbers. So we're into fifth course now.
Yeah.
How about we do another squash course, but different squash.
Okay.
So here's delicata squash.
Uh-huh.
It's been roasted for about 45 minutes until super tender. And we already stuffed with sushi rice.
Okay.
But it's a mixture of jalapeno, red pepper, sesame. We know
Okay.
you like spicy.
Okay, perfect for me.
Okay.
And the great thing is you can actually eat the skin with this delicato squash, huh?
Very nice with skin.
Yeah.
We don't have to peel them.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to garnish with little nori.
Okay.
Just kind of like that. A little more. And rice is already seasoned already, so I
Yeah.
think this is good like that. So that's delicata squash.
Okay.
So we have here, we pickled lotus in sugar and vinegar.
Uh-huh.
And this one is cooked in soy sauce.
Okay. And this one is fried.
This one's fried.
Crispy.
Yeah. One piece of this. So this is nice and sweet, the white one.
Yeah.
And then a brown one is salty.
Okay.
So we'll put both in one. Just kind of form it into sushi shape. There we go. And then we can garnish it with little crispiness. There we go. We have, let's see. Oh, we can do onions.
Onion, okay. How you call onion in Japanese?
Tamanegi.
Tamanegi, okay.
Tamanegi. So we roasted onion really slow again.
Yeah.
With the skin.
With the skin,
It kind of
okay.
steams. And then we'll just use this nice ring from inside.
Yeah.
So in Japan, we make a dish called ikameshi. It's basically like a squid ring of squid
Uh-huh.
filled with rice.
Oh, it could be like that. It look like a little bit like
Right?
squid, huh?
So-
yeah. Uh-huh.
So we'll fill this up with sushi rice. Okay, and this is yuzu miso, so it has a little bit of yuzu and miso for flavor. Yep. And then we can garnish with little shiso on top.
Okay. Looks great.
Very quick, but, and then I know you like the sweet glaze.
Yeah, I love the glaze.
So it can go around on the onions.
Okay.
There you go. Okay. All right. Next one. We'll do, how about pickled watermelon radish? So
Okay.
watermelon radish they really look like watermelon.
Yeah.
Nice bright
Totally.
red
Yeah.
inside.
So you pickle them again with a little vinegar?
A little vinegar, a little sugar, a little bit of ginger.
Uh-huh. What is that, ginger?
That's ginger.
Who cut it so fine, or you grated it?
No, I cut it so fine with the knife.
Wow,
I
great.
can actually,
Use a knife really
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Good job.
thanks for teaching me. Finally. Okay, so let's use the little chive here that I blanched previously so that
It sticks together.
it sticks together, rice and the... Okay. There you go.
Squish it so it doesn't fall.
Okay.
Okay, we're only at 8. We said 10.
Okay, more coming.
Okay, good.
So why don't we do eggplant?
Okay.
So eggplant, I scored them really fine.
Yeah.
Deep fried first.
Yeah.
And then brined in vegetable dashi with a little bit of soy sauce for flavor.
Okay.
Okay. So cut it a little bit. I know you like eggplant.
Yeah, I love eggplant.
Yeah.
Also, you can eat the skin now when it's cut like that. It's perfect.
Yes. So it's gonna be beautiful, tender. It's not too much texture on your teeth, you know. So again, we'll make it turn into sushi shape. And then in my country, eggplant always with ginger.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll do
In my country too.
same.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. See, we have so much in common.
In Austria, yeah. We don't go out. Eggplants come from Italy in Austria. It's not the right climate.
Okay. Let's see what we got. Okay, we'll do one last one. It's going to be romaine lettuce, again from California. It's like a little Caesar salad, right?
Yeah.
So we grilled it first.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take
Just
this.
spice it up for me, okay?
Okay, let's make it spicy with wasabi maybe?
Yeah. You decide.
Okay. And then we'll put some beautiful flowers
Okay.
after. Okay. A little salt.
Yeah.
There we go. So that's omakase ten sushi.
Okay.
We're making the farmer's plate based on everything that we just found in the market. So we're going to serve it with a chickpea puree, muhamara, and a little burrata. So I just do the little nice dollop of chickpea puree. Like I said, the muhamara has it's walnuts, a little toasted bread, roasted peppers, a little spoonful of this local burrata. For me, it's just all the things I would want to eat with the vegetables. A little pepper on there. And then I'm just going to take some of the red curry squash from Peter, some of the Romanesco from Milliken, some of Tamai's green beans, some of James Birch's Jimmy Nardello peppers, some Laubacher Farms carrots, and again a little of the Shaner's, it's like end of the summer squash. And I'm just going to do a little salt, pepper, nice big squeeze of lemon, a little drizzle of olive oil. Just want them to get nicely seasoned. It's just kind of about layering them with a little bit of our beautiful dandelion from Coleman. Just kind of trying to layer everything, showing off all their different pretty shapes, different colors. Let's get that a little glazed. And then in the end, I'm just going to use some of those pretty little Munich tomatoes because it's, again, I was saying, like to have that nice little burst of something fresh and acidic. Just make sure those get seasoned. And then I'm just going to tuck them in. Like a little juicy surprise in there. And then we just serve that with grilled toast, and that is the farmer's plate.
Adobo is a Filipino dish made with meat, seafood, or vegetables braised in soy sauce, vinegar, herbs, garlic, bay leaves, and peppercorns. I was inspired by this classic flavor profile to make a vegetarian twist on adobo with cauliflower and eggplant. Let's get started. In a pan, combine soy sauce and Knorr Professional Liquid Concentrated Vegetable Base, white vinegar, bay leaves, crushed garlic, and cauliflower cut into florets. Bring this to a simmer and reduce, stirring occasionally. Cover until the cauliflower is tender. Once tender, remove the cauliflower and continue to reduce the liquid until it thickens into a syrup. Once the liquid is thickened, add the cauliflower back into the pan, as well as some deep-fried and diced Japanese eggplant. Reheat the sauce so that it makes a nice glaze over the vegetables. Garnish with the sliced scallions and serve. Savory, sweet, and tart. Your guests will love this cauliflower and eggplant adobo made with Knorr Professional Liquid Concentrated Vegetable Base. Enjoy.